Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of Deliverability.TV with the usual suspects. Hi Florian.
Hi Anthony.
How's it going on your side?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Yes,
How's it
very
on
good,
your
thanks.
side?
It's good. It's over 30 degrees, which is a rarity.
Oh,
So it's very nice. And your
summer.
side? Yes.
Summer in London and summer in Wuppertal. Very nice here as well, thanks.
Good stuff, good stuff. And okay, so today what we want to do is actually discuss an article that Florian has previously written. Excuse me. How to recognize. Oh my God, I've just made two massive blunders. How to recognize spam phishing.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just irritated by the person on your behind you with the purple hair. I can see it.
This troll.
The troll, exactly. That's a nice
Yeah.
one. Is it from Norway?
China.
From China.
It's made in China anyway. I don't know where it originated from.
Okay.
But,
and nice shirt.
Thank you.
In yellow. Oh, a nice yellow shirt. Cool. Okay. Yeah, let's start. Inboxplacement.com. I wrote an article back in March how to recognize spam and phishing, and our episode today is exactly about this topic because it's out of a consumer's perspective and out of a non-professional perspective. If you receive an email, how can you be sure nowadays that it's legit? How can you be sure that it's from the sender who pretends to be himself? And how can you be sure that you should click on links, or you can, without infecting your computer with whatever malware and need to pay bitcoins to unlock your computer again? Have you heard that? Recently, there was a big wave of that kind of stuff. Have you heard that?
Well, it's in the news all the time. I haven't heard the most recent thing on. No, perhaps you could mention that. I guess you just did.
I just did. No, that's it's just you're right. It's in the media a lot of times. So a lot of people got their computers locked or their data locked, and there was a pop-up on the screen. It also affected the Deutsche Bahn, the train provider in Germany. And when you have been on the tracks and you wanted to see when your train is going, there was a pop-up on the screens saying, "Hi, if you want your data back, you need to send us a few bitcoins, and if not, then we will delete your hard drive." And yeah, that's what we want to avoid. So back to the topic. If you are a consumer, what can happen to you? Have you read the posts already?
No, yes.
Yes,
I've been
of course.
told to say yes. I have read it.
Okay, I can kick it off a bit. So, from sender side, that's how email works. And sender is sending his email over an MTA, mail transfer agent, and until it's arriving on the recipient's Samsung S5 in this case, it needs to jump on different servers, and on each of the servers, basically, the email is in plain text. Everybody can read it, so it's unsecure, and that was a bit the problem in the beginning, and that's why people added a bit authentication. We have made another lesson out of that, by the way. If you are interested a little bit more in depth into SPF, DKIM, DMARC, and so on. And if we do a quick summary over it, it means basically that the sender is really who he pretends to be. And you can be sure that the email hasn't been changed or the content hasn't been changed. And for most of the ISPs today, if SPF DKIM is failing, they don't even deliver your mail, at least not in the inbox, and put a warning on it that
Yes.
it's in spam because of failing authentication. Yeah, but you can also see that if you open your mail, depending on the mailbox
Yes.
provider, it shows you a little sign if it's authenticated or not. Do you want to
Well, I was just thinking, Florian, as you're discussing this point, it's actually a question that comes up quite a lot in perhaps either family members or friends, those people that not like ourselves work in the industry that are not so savvy about how this phishing works and whatnot. How can they avoid it, or what measures should they take to at least ensure that they're not being in some kind of spamming scam or some phishing attack? That's I think that's the key point from my side. I think if we can explain that, that would be really good.
Okay, so how can you make sure, or how can you check the authentication? Do you mean that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's jump to the mail headers. That's one thing you can do. So if you are in the mails, what you can do is open the mail header,
Yes.
the original text, and then you see something like this: authentication results. You can check for that, and here you can see, for example, DKIM equals pass, SPF equals pass, and some additional stuff. So if you find DKIM or SPF pass, then you know that first of all the ISP has done this check, and secondly it has passed. Can also be neutral, which means there was no SPF record that they tried to check, but there's no SPF record. Then it's neutral, or it can be failing. That's from one of my spam mails. You can see it also easily that the sender pretends to be a working agency in Germany, and in fact it was spam, so the SPF is failing. And then you can, it looks like this. There's a few things that are not aligned. First of all, the alias name doesn't look serious. Doesn't look like a serious email address. The contact address, however, is from AOL. And
it's inconsistent.
It's inconsistent, and it offers you a lot of money without working too much. Doesn't sound serious as well. Second point.
It seems too good. It normally is. Yeah.
And that's another spam mail, and there was a domain in it, and if you hover it with your cursor, then you see on the bottom where the link points to, and if you compare this link and this one, it's a completely different domain, and that's also
right.
where you need to be very careful not to click on it.
Just to say, Florian, so now this is all well and good. I think it's slightly technical. So, for example, by the way, they're good checks. Not to say that they're not. Say someone that had not much experience in email marketing, or how it works. I would say general rule of thumb is if you've got to sign in somewhere, change your password, send money in general over email, I think that doesn't happen a lot at all. So if you just straight away, my back goes up like, oh, people want me to send money, people want me to log in and change my password, that already is a red flag. Aside from the technical side of things, I think some ISPs, they're making it easier, as you demonstrated in the header, saying, oh, perhaps this is not fully authenticated, or this is in spam folder, it looks like a phishing attack. But I think common sense prevails, right? So that's the tricky part. Everyone trusts perhaps their emails that they're getting. What we're saying is don't trust them in those situations.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're really right, and you also Yeah, you should just yeah, take your feeling serious. If you open the mail and have the feeling there's something wrong with it, most likely there is, in fact. And if you don't know the sender, even more. If you know the sender, then try to use another channel and call him, for instance, and ask, well, have you just sent me this and this? Is this really from you? Can I trust it? Yeah, then you
And
have
do an
really
independent
checked it.
search
Yeah,
of the phone number, because maybe these spammers, they have the phone number in the email. Then you'll say, oh, this email can't be right, let's call this, and in
yeah,
fact it's the spammers behind that number as well. So an independent search of like a contact detail that would also verify it.
exactly. And anything with urgency is also always very tricky. I mean, if your bank, for example, uh, needs some really urgent action from you, they wouldn't do it via email. They would call you
Exactly.
or so never do a panic action. If something's really urgent, it's not urgent at all, and take your time. You can also um, take some parts, copy paste on Google and watch it, and if that's a yeah, if that's something critical, then somebody else might have posted it as well. So there's a few options. In case of doubt, ask other people and not click links. That's
Yeah.
very important. Also, not the and especially not the unsubscribe link. I mean, usually we say always click the unsubscribe link, but if you feel that's a phishing mail, then don't click the unsubscribe link, because it just means you're validating your email address. You tell the spammer, yes, I
I
am
exist.
really a real person and I read my email under this account, which makes your email address even more interesting for them. Don't do that.
Yeah. Well put.
I think that's all that is in this blog post, as long as I can remember. I mean, it's back in March. That's a long time. 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, things haven't really changed so much. How we should approach these situations. Perhaps going on further to that, once you identify, this is where I talk without thinking. Once you identify that it is phishing or spam, then I think we can go into how to report that.
Yeah.
Um, there's many different ways. So sometimes you have to leave it behind by the wayside. But if you get consistent spam, then you have to look at reporting that. Maybe we can have a. I can include, or we put on a website where you should report spam and phishing from. Now I have to go away and find that link.
Okay. Yeah, there's a few options where you can report. In Germany, you can report it to the CSA, for example. Um, the, of course, in each country there should be a address where you can report it.
Yeah, yeah. I've also seen it where you can even report it to the IP administrator of the network.
Ah, that's
You
true.
can go on many levels.
That's true.
Yeah,
You can use the real sender address, which is in return path if you know where to find it. And this for this address you can check the DNS in the who is section. It's very technical again, but in the who is section you can find on which name this is registered. And usually you should also find an abuse contact, which is
exactly.
the network administrator. And if you report this to him, he should feel responsible to take care of that,
Yeah,
hopefully.
exactly. And I think that's content for another episode. Brilliant, Florian. We're just coming
Cool.
out with it all the time. Great.
We could invite a network administrator and interview him a bit, ask him about that, to tell
That
about his life, daily
sounds like a
life.
good idea.
Cool. Let's do that.
Nice one. Thanks, Florian, and thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good week or
And
two.
you too. And see you in a couple of weeks.
Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye bye.